All right, today we're going to dig into a crime so bold, so meticulously planned, that it was literally called the crime of the century. This is the story of the great Brink's robbery, a heist that became an absolute legend, and frankly, whose biggest secrets are still being whispered about today.
So I want you to picture the scene. It's Boston. The city is just wrapped in this thick, freezing winter fog, snow's on the ground, and the streets are practically deserted. It's the perfect cover for what's about to go down.
Now, this wasn't some spur-of-the-moment smash and grab. Oh no, this was a masterpiece of criminal engineering. And the secret to its success? It all started with an almost obsessive level of planning. I mean, just think about the sheer dedication this took. For 2 solid years, a crew of 11 guys, led by this perfectionist named Tony Pino, they studied every single detail of the Brinks depot. They knew every lock, every single guard's shift, every blind spot in the security system. The goal was simple: one perfect score, and then they'd just disappear. And they pulled it off with, honestly, breathtaking precision. The whole thing took just 30 minutes. It starts with a quiet knock, a synchronized entry, and the guards are neutralized without any real violence. They actually whispered reassurances to the employees they were tying up. There were no alarms, no sirens, nothing. They just loaded up the money and completely vanished into the Boston night. So, what was the total take? Just shy of $2.8 million in cash, checks, and securities. Now, to put that into perspective for you, back in 1950, this was the single largest cash robbery in American history. An absolutely mind-blowing amount of money. So, the crews got their money and they've disappeared into thin air. What happens next is a manhunt that quickly turns into one of the most frustrating and high-profile cold cases the FBI had ever seen. And you know what? All that meticulous planning really paid off. When investigators finally stormed the scene, they found, well, nothing. Not a single fingerprint, not a stray footprint in the snow. The crew had literally cleaned up every trace of their existence. They were ghosts. Well, as you can imagine, the media and the public were completely captivated by this. The sheer scale of the theft, combined with the total lack of clues, earns the heist its famous nickname, the crime of the century. It was a perfect, unsolvable mystery. And so the long wait began. For almost 6 years, the crew just laid low. They lived these simple, quiet lives, all while waiting for the clock to run out on the law. And the FBI? They were completely stumped. By the beginning of 1956, the 6-year statute of limitations was just days from expiring. It honestly looked like they were all going to get away with it. But this is where the story takes a huge, dramatic turn. The perfect crime wasn't undone by brilliant police work or some lucky break from a detective. Nope, it was undone by the one thing the mastermind, Tony Pino, could never plan for: human nature. You see, the entire plan was built on this sacred pact of absolute silence and trust. But that trust started to crack under pressure. Greed, paranoia, and a deep sense of betrayal, they became the cracks in their perfect wall. And that's way more powerful than any lock the FBI could ever hope to pick. And it all came down to one man, Joseph Specs O'Keefe, one of the original 11. He got locked up on a totally different charge, and he started to feel like his partners had just abandoned him. The money for his legal fees suddenly stopped coming. So, feeling betrayed and facing a really long prison sentence, he just snapped. He went to the FBI and he told them everything, just days before everyone would have walked away free forever. So with that confession, the FBI finally rounded up the whole crew. The case was solved. But the end of the manhunt was actually the beginning of a brand new mystery, one that remains unsolved to this very day. And this is where the mystery just gets deeper. Of that nearly $2.8 million that was stolen, take a look at what investigators actually recovered. Only about $58,000. A tiny fraction. The rest of it? Just gone. Which, of course, leaves us with the tantalizing question that has fueled all sorts of speculation for over 70 years. What happened to all that money? It just seemed to vanish into thin air, just like the robbers did on that cold January night. Oh, and the theories have been swirling ever since. Is it buried in some chest somewhere in a Boston swamp? Was it secretly passed down through generations like a hidden inheritance for the families? Or was it all just spent and laundered long before the law ever caught up to them? We'll probably never know for sure.
So, in the end, the story of the Great Brink's robbery isn't just about a brilliant heist. It's a really powerful lesson in trust, greed, and betrayal. It's a real-life reminder that the biggest weakness in any perfect plan isn't a faulty alarm or a forgotten clue. It's the people you're with.